Guys, today's podcast is with Allie from Amplify Life Ride Lift Flow. We just tried saying that 9 times fast, and the only person I can see that tongue twists faster than me is Yiddle, who's behind the camera. But she is one of those people that is infectious. From the moment you meet her, it's a smile. The moment you meet her, and she remembers so many things about people. We talked about music, we talked about dogs, we talked about how she created her studio. And it's one of the greatest things, it's one of the greatest podcasts we've done up to this point. I gave her a book, we talked about marketing, and I can't wait for you to see it. My podcast style is more like a Joe Rogan, and I was telling you that like so many people were recommending you, and I'm so busy on the full-time job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I met up with Cody over there, and Cody was like, what do you want me to do? And I was like, he's like, can I follow up with all those people on the post? And I was like, sure. First person to reach out to you.
Aw.
And then I went to that all Romanian party, and Magda was
Mm-hmm.
like, have you talked to Allie? And I was like, no. She was like, Allie's the best, like you got to talk to her, kind of thing.
Aw.
And so then when he was like, hey, I talked to Allie, and I was like, oh wait, like that's incredible. Magda's telling me about her. Like this is, I don't know, divine or whatever it is. It's just one of those things that line up, and I'm like,
Yeah.
thank goodness that she's coming in, because I'm also on the health kick,
Uh-huh.
that we've been talking
Perfect.
about. So it's just like, and what Magda was telling me about your studio, of why it's so special, and what's the name of your? Is it
It's called Amplify Ride the Flow.
Amplify Ride the Flow?
Yeah,
She was telling me that you do it like it's more of a community,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
And and you have a different way of doing it. Like your music is chose by you. It's not the same five pump up music. It's like she was telling me, like if someone had a baby or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
like you built music around that
Mm-hmm.
to do it. And she's like, so every time I go, I get something different out of it.
Yeah.
And then Cody went last night.
Oh, Cody. Oh my gosh.
And Cody went last night, and he was like, it was like, I think your song choice was like the most hardcore rap you can find.
It was so it's holiday time, right? And I love to do theme rides.
Yeah,
And so I was like, we could do naughty and nice, right? Like
there you
Santa's
go.
list. But I was like, nice isn't fun. Let's just do a naughty playlist.
Hmm.
And so Cody heard every explicit word lyric you could possibly imagine. He was such a good sport. He embraced it, and I was
Yeah,
like, I don't know what kind of impression I'm gonna make on this poor guy, but yeah, it was we were riding dirty.
well,
We certainly were.
I'll tell you this. This is what he sent last night after he
Oh
left.
no.
This is incredible. Ready for this?
I'm ready.
Um, eh, this is yesterday around 6 o'clock.
Okay.
He said, "So pumped for tomorrow. Only threw up once in class." And then I gave him a laughy emoji, and he goes, "This has got to be the freaking coolest workout studio in the world, for real. So
Oh,
stoked for you to meet Allie. So awesome. Can't wait to meet Allie as well. Want to try class next week." I said, "Not me, not yet, because I'm still recovering," kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And he goes, "There's a bunch of different classes. There's cycling, weight stuff, yoga. They have free childcare, like that's run by the church next door."
Life Point has been
Yeah.
incredible to us. Oh my gosh, I think that means I can't tell you how much that means
Well,
to me. But
that's what I'm trying to do, is to like show good people in good places.
mhm.
And I'm like, I called Cody. I was like, I want you to go experience it and give a good review. And he threw up, and he's like, it's the best thing I've ever
Oh
done,
my
right? Which
gosh.
sounds like it
That
sounds awful, but it's like the best review that I've ever heard.
it like oh that's I mean he was such a trooper, and because he came in, he said and this just blows my mind. He was like, I spent basically all of my 20s, roughly 300 pounds, and I just started this new kind of lifestyle. There's a lot of kombucha involved, which
Yeah.
is like so cool. But he's like, this is really only my second cycling class, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the second cycling class ever. It's going to be an explicit, like really explicit ride. Oh boy, like we'll see how this
Let's
goes.
go.
And he just smiled the whole time, and he was such a good sport. And he came in, he got here, he got to the studio early. And my favorite thing to do is just show everybody what we offer, because
Sure.
I think our reputation is we're a cycling studio, but we're also yoga, bar, Pilates, strength, and we are kind of under the umbrella of music. So it's a music inspired studio. So when you walk in, like our front desk is made of speakers. We've got themed bathrooms like Prince, Beyonce, Pink, like
Yeah.
David Bowie. We have I don't know, music is such a big part of us because I believe it's the greatest connector,
Yeah.
between people. So
Yeah.
we could be as different as night and day, but you know what? We might love the same song, and
Yeah.
then we're gonna have a shared
Combined.
experience.
Yeah.
And so I mean, Cody got a lot of experience last night in our explicit ride,
But he loved it.
but yeah, and it was just fun, and you're in the dark and nobody cares, and you can just do your
Just
thing.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. How did you you know, fall in love with music? Because I know you said that you wanted, like, you love Willie Nelson. You were kind of telling me about
I
that. Like,
do. I love.
where do you think that came from, and like, what made you want to create the studio around music? Because I don't think there's many people doing that, and I think you're probably the only person doing it in Wilmington, which is why I want to highlight you.
Aw, gosh, I think I probably fell in love with music. My first lullaby, that was like saying to
Sure.
me. Um, I remember my kindergarten graduation, right? And when we graduated, we had to sing Whitney Houston's "I Believe the Children Are Our Future," right? And I remember like crying at my
Yeah.
own kindergarten graduation because that song was so powerful to me. And I think I've just loved lyrics and absorbed them since. And I love outlaw country because of this really special summer camp that I went to as a kid. And that's kind of all we listened to. And
Sure.
I've got, really fond memories of listening to like 90s hip hop, right, in high school. So it's like I love, Tupac. I love Wu-Tang. I love all of that.
Did you have Jinko jeans growing up?
So
There it is.
I wore my dad's jeans because they weren't Jinko jeans, but they were huge. So like
Same
I kind of
thing.
yeah.
I had Jinko jeans
Yeah.
when I was going to middle school. They were still a thing. In the
Mm-hmm.
deep pockets with the Joker on
Oh,
the back. It was like
right. Mine weren't
grungy.
Jinkos. Mine were Levi's, but they were size like 36 waist, and we
You figured it out.
I
Yeah.
figured it out. Yeah, the bigger the better. For
Yeah, that's
sure.
awesome. So you created, like, what made you want to create the studio though? Like, what
Yeah.
brought you to that?
So I've always loved like movement, and when I was a kid, if you asked me like, what's your favorite school subject, I would always tell you PE. I just couldn't wait to go to PE class or go to recess. I just needed to move, probably because of my ADHD, but it just, I don't know, it was therapeutic for me even as a kid. And when I got older, I found myself just kind of diving into fitness, taking classes, and then ultimately became an instructor. And then I started just taking classes. At the time, I was living in the Bay Area, so right outside of San Francisco, and there's so many options for classes there. And you just kind of go and you start taking these mental notes, like, oh, I love this, I love this, I don't really love that. And at the time, I was a new mom, and some of these places that I wanted to go to, I couldn't because they didn't have childcare. So I was like, gosh, one day I would love to have a studio of my own that offered, indoor cycling because I loved it, offered a strength component because that's so important. Not great at yoga. I'm actually terrible. I can barely touch my toes, but it's important. I respect it. So I was like,
Sure.
there's got to be a strength or a stretch component in there. And then bar and Pilates is so hard but so good for you. And I was like, I would love to have all these things, and then also someone to watch children.
Right.
So moms and dads don't have to pay for a babysitter, and to get exposure to these styles of classes. And I want it to be smaller so it's intimate, so you can get to know your members and create those connections. And music helps, but what really helps is
That family, like, community.
absolutely. And when I came to Wilmington, I didn't have a network of people. I had one or two close friends that lived here, and that was, they're wonderful, and they're members of the studio. But I was like, how do I I'm a
Get your name
stranger
out.
here. How do I get our name out there? How do I bring people in? And I think just working hard and being nice to people. And I
That's
think
it.
that brings it in.
People
Yeah.
people ask me all the time, what's the secret?
Yeah.
Like, how do you do it? How do you recruit? Like, how do you recruit? How do you do this? I'm like, I'm just authentic.
Mm-hmm.
I just care. It doesn't matter who I talk to.
Right.
I typically am able to talk to anybody,
Yeah.
like literally anybody. Like, I'll go, doesn't matter who you are. I can probably converse with you and have some level. Like, I've developed a love for music over the last year because for me, I would listen to music and it felt like the lyrics were part of the music. Like but it was kind of jumbled in a way. It didn't really sound like it. And then it'll only be like, this. Like, and that's what most people would know, but I didn't really understand what they were saying. But when I saw one of my friends sing karaoke and he sang, I was like, oh, that's the lyrics.
Yeah.
And then when you start changing, like, so now I got like noise canceling headphones and like, it was like the Sony ones, like the really high end stuff. And it changed it. It was like, here's your music palette. So I took like an hour and it was like, you like to listen to the lyrics, but you like a little bit more bass and like this, that, and the third.
Oh, how cool.
And so now when I listen, like when I have a bad day or whatever it is, it sounds weird. I sit in my tub, I put on my music
that's
headphone,
not weird at
and
all.
I use the Spotify AI DJ. And it's like, have you ever tried that?
Yes, and
It's
I love
wild,
it. It's
right?
so good.
It's
yeah,
wild.
it's so good.
And I'm like, and no matter what, I just press that and it's like, hey man, I see what Kevin. Hey, you know,
That's
X.
exactly.
No, hey man, it's X. What's up, Murray? I see you having a bad day.
Oh my
This, that, and the
God.
third. I'm gonna put on some contemporary rock for you because that's what you've been jamming to lately, and this is for you.
Isn't it good?
And then the next time I'm like driving in the morning, and it was like, sounds like you're in a work mode, man. Boom, and like I'm like, yo, what is going on? And so it's like this, and I realized that I have an eclectic mix of music.
Yeah.
And so what Spotify has done is incredible, first and foremost, because they really learn your algorithm. And most people are like, well, I like everything. Well, you probably do, but what Spotify has done is really taken it and going, you haven't listened to this in a while, but I'm going to introduce some new stuff for you. So it's like really cool. So I've grown to love lyrics in music and then listening to them deeply and going, what does the song really mean? Like, what was the artist thinking when they made it? Because what is their story?
Yeah.
You know, like, how do you go deeper into this? And it's like, oh, that resonates with what I'm going on in my life. And so if you just listen to music like you're teaching people how to do while being in a mode where it's like this, you kind of forget about doing this number, and then you're
100%.
and then you realize it and you might throw up.
Aw.
But you might, it's a great experience, which is the whole point, I think, right?
Absolutely.
But what, other than, coming in and not really knowing people, like, what are some trials and tribulations as a new business owner that you have experienced? Like, networking, is it marketing? What is it?
I mean, probably marketing. So my background, actually, as far as educationally, like I was a special education teacher for.
I like this.
Oh, really? Oh, that's awesome. So I started teaching behaviorally and emotionally disabled kids, and then kind of turned into a resource specialist. So working with kids with just a variety of different disabilities. And I to prepare for that, I never had to take a finance class, never had to take a business class, so as a new business owner, just figuring out the business part, like I knew I could do the people part, like that's probably my strength, but creating budgets, knowing where to spend your money, knowing where it's
going to work, where it's not going to work.
Yeah, that was
viewing the analytics and going, what's working.
Oh yeah, so like that was really hard to figure that. I'm still trying to figure that out, to be honest. But and especially when COVID happened, every service industry, especially the fitness industry, I mean, we got the air knocked out of us. That was a big hit, and so our whole business model had to change every day. And let me tell you that, like, my staff, they deserve the biggest standing ovation because they had to move equipment outside. Now it didn't matter if it was like summertime, 100 degrees, 100% humidity. We were out there in the
rain,
sun, rain, shine, as long as it wasn't like thundering. But And then there was, dead of winter, we had icicles on our bike seats out there. And,
Yeah.
So it
It's
was
a tough time.
it was really hard, and then you're losing, and I get it, but you're losing memberships, and because it's uncomfortable.
To not the economy at the time, and so they're like
Oh
they look at their budget and go, okay, what is the membership? I'm going to cut that out first, and it's like
right.
you get it, but it's also like, well, that's also my livelihood, and you know what I mean. It's kind of like that's how I pay my staff, and that's how I do this, and it's like such a tough thing.
And it was, and so like my staff took a pay cut, and no longer being able to afford to have like studio managers and things like, and it was heartbreaking because
You work so hard.
well, and you worked so well with people that you love, and they're part of your family, and then you can no longer afford to keep them. Like that for me was probably the hardest part, is like, the relationship aspect. And then, it's been it's been a journey. I've learned so much, but I'm so grateful to have been able
To endure it.
to endure it, and do something that I love,
Yeah.
and even though it's been hard, I still love it,
Yeah.
and I've enjoyed, and I continue to enjoy just meeting different people, and sharing stories, sharing music
Yeah.
and lyrics, and
Yeah.
and a whole lot of sweat.
Yeah, a whole lot of sweat
Whole
together.
lot of
I
sweat.
do have a book for you. Sorry,
Oh.
this might mess up your thing, but I got to do it.
Aw.
When it comes to marketing, and I'll hang on one second.
Oh, I will take all the help I can get.
So what I do is I do a lot of marketing for my full-time position. I'm the director of sales and marketing for a large FMO brokerage, which was bought by an insurance company. Been very blessed, right? But the reason I'm starting my business is because I'm like, wait a second, I can do what I love, which is podcasting.
Right.
I just get to talk to people all day long.
Perfect.
And then I can teach them how to market for free.
Mm-hmm.
And I can give gifts. I can hire people. I can pay them well, and then work with good people, and then teach business owners, because I think so many business owners take so long trying to keep the lights on that they don't know how to market.
Yeah.
And so I have this book for you. This one I've read many times over. But it's called Duct Tape Marketing. It's just like, it's like when you're a small business, and I don't want to call you small business. I hate the word small business, but like when you're a growing business, you gotta duct tape. You gotta figure it out. You gotta, just like you did. Like, we gotta move outside. We gotta do this.
Yeah.
And it helped me early on when we were growing on the insurance side.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, duct taping things, and like during COVID, same thing. It was like, what do we got to do?
Right.
And so we learned the CRM, and the CRM is like, without going too crazy, like all the members that you have, or all the clients that you have, like you essentially, if you get them to engage with you, which is show up,
right? Right.
If you get them to engage, like you said, Magda, every time she comes, she's like, this is the greatest thing. You know what I mean? So if you take the CRM and get the data of all your clients in there, all your members, clients or members, past members, etc.
Yeah.
And then you can send out text messages, ringless voicemails, and like it could be a voice memo from you. It's called a ringless voicemail. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Basically, your phone will ring one time, and it comes from you, and then it's like it's just a voicemail going, hey, it's Allie. Just hope you're having a great day. Like, it was blah blah blah. It was good to see you the other day, and so you can filter it out based on who's been there recently, and just leave them a voice, and then they'd get it and be like, he's such great. But you set it up automatically to go out, so you don't have to make that phone call 100 times.
Right.
It just goes to everybody on your list.
That's pretty awesome.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. And so it's called Go High Level is the name of it. And you can go pay, like, I think you can pay them for a 14-day free trial, like $97 a month. Okay. And then they have a pro version that's like
you can do all the things.
Yeah, like I think I pay like $14 a month. But what I'm teaching people is like, you can go get it from them. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to be like, okay, and the way I had to learn to go high level is I had to use their support system, and their support system was people that are overseas, and it was really tough for me to learn it. But I spent the last 3 or 4 years learning it, and so now I have it to where I can give out accounts at the same price that they do because I bought the main thing, and then the support system is me and my staff, and then we get to teach you how to use it effectively. So then I get to be like, hey, let's quickly get you 50 Google reviews and let's teach you how to do these things. So eventually you or your staff are learning it. And then it's like over time, it's like you're coming up with these own ideas. So I want to like teach you how to get more business, or like how to run a Facebook ad, or how to do an Instagram ad, or like how to take a course on Instagram Reels. Like I bought one for him. I don't know if I always talk about Cody because he's got this he's like the world record holder. I don't know if you know this.
A world record holder for
He's applying for it. There's like some kind of law because kombucha is technically fermented, like almost fermented. They're kind of waiting through the period. But when I met him for the first time, I was like, "Who's the world record holder for chugging kombucha?" He's like, "Me." And I was like, "Where's your plaque, dude?" And he's like, "What?" I was like, "I'll buy it. Like I don't care, right?" And so he's the world record holder kombucha, and I'm like, dude.
That's the coolest. I mean, if you can be a world record holder for something, I mean,
I was blown away.
Amazing.
I was like, I just met him, I've watched him over many years on social media. And then when I started my business, he was the first person I messaged. He was like, "Can you meet for coffee?" I was like, "Sure, man." I met him and I was like, "You're the coolest dude I've ever met." And then I've been teaching him like how to make money using it, because he has all these kombucha companies reaching out to him and sending them kombucha to chug. And I'm like, "Well, why are you not charging for your services?" And I was like, "Give me your phone." Like, and I like started texting these companies for him. I'm like, "Let's make you money, right?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, I want to work for you." And I was like, "No, you'll work with me." And so now that's how Cody kind of got involved. And it's just teaching people how to do that stuff is my passion.
Yeah.
And my passion is podcasting. Podcast is people, and my passion is marketing. And I finally figured out a way to do all three, and I found out a way to help people learn, to help people grow. And as long as me and my family have enough for what we do, I have a dog named Mojito and a cat named Kit Kat, and a wonderful. Well, she called him. She wanted to call him Kit, and I just called him Cat. So then Kit Kat came out first, right?
Perfect.
And Mojito is my dog's name, and it's because my favorite drink is mojito. Right. And she wanted to call him like kudzu or something. I'm like, no. So the first one was the dog. We got the dog first. He's a Pomeranian poodle. So he's got
probably really cute.
Oh man, he looks like a little teddy bear.
Oh my.
But he's got like the bark of a Pomeranian, but the smarts of a poodle. So he knows how to get what he wants using his body languages and his voice. So he's like this.
His body language.
I'm serious. Like
buddy.
we took him to look at commercial real estate yesterday, and he is. I mean, how about it, Cody? He was like this little nugget of like scooting around like Scooby-Doo on the floor and like all this stuff. And he was just, and then he was like, he would only want to be picked up by me, and I put him, and he was like laying on me. I was like, "You're showing off, dude. Like, you're cute. Like, quit it, right?" But the point that I'm trying to do is to like connect good people with good people.
Yeah.
And learn about good businesses starting in Wilmington, because I live here. Why wouldn't I want to grow my own community?
Right.
And then teach people like you who everybody's like, "You got to meet Allie. You got to meet Allie." And now that we've gotten time to talk, it's like, I want to help Allie. You know what I mean?
Oh, thank you.
So that's what I want to do. Like that's a book on me. Please take it.
Oh,
and if you want, like I want it. This is going to go out, and hopefully more people see it. We'll get you more Google reviews. But I want to teach you how to do that stuff over time. The tough part is I'm going to push you. I'm not gonna make it easy, but I know that you're a person that is willing to be pushed.
I was like, my job is to push others, so
Yeah, so I'm gonna push you.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be tough, and it's everybody that I talk to, I'm like, I'm gonna push you, and if you're not ready for it, it's okay.
No, I'm
But
good.
I will. And just, I'm trying the best way to explain it. Trust my. I call it the Matthew Murray method. Like, trust my process. It's a little bit awkward at first, but it works.
All right.
So let's do it.
Yeah.
It was good talking to you.
Oh, it was amazing talking to you.
Absolutely.
And I'm so honored to be here. And thank you for sharing this knowledge and your book and the great conversation.
Yeah, perfect. And we'll make sure everything's on the screen so everybody knows how to find you and backlink and everything like that. And we'll make sure your website's up there and all that good stuff.
Oh, amazing.
Perfect.
Very grateful. Thank
Absolutely.
you. Yeah.
Done.